Hello, this is Mr. Doro. Today we're going to be talking about significant figures and mathematical functions, and I want you to be able to determine how many significant figures your answer should be reported in when you do a mathematical function. I want to talk about the reason why we have to have the proper number of sig figs in our answers. Well, the reason is that we can only report our answers to the precision of the least precise data that's given to us in the calculation. For example, if we had a wall that we wanted to measure and find the area of it, and my job was to measure the height maybe of the wall, and so I did this measurement because I'm very precise, and I got 8.264319 feet, and then I gave you the job of measuring the width or the length of the wall, and you said, it looks like about 20 feet, and you really didn't even measure it, you just kind of estimated in there. Well, your measurement was not very precise, mine was very precise. When we do length times width, we get this answer, 165.28638 feet, or square feet that is. And so you may say, well, how many places do I round that off to? The answer is to the correct number of sig figs. It can only be as precise as our least precise measurement, which in this case was this one right here. So this is going to end the question of how many places do I round off to. I'm going to, from now on, be telling you to the correct number of sig figs. That's what we're going to learn. First thing we're going to talk about is addition and subtraction rules. Now, we don't use these very often, and so they don't come up that much, but I do want to go over them just so that you can see. I've given you some ways to find out the number of significant figures. First of all, you line up the decimals on the numbers, and I've done this down here below. I've lined them all up for you. And then the placeholder with the last significant figure furthest left is the placeholder that should have the last significant figure in your answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to calculate these out. And when I do 101 plus 22.394, I really get 123.394. But I have to figure out where my last significant figure was in each of those terms. This one right here, that in the ones place was the last significant figure. This one in the 10/100ths thousandths place was the last sig fig. Since this one right here is my least significant one, that means this place is the place where I have my last significant figure. So I round from there. I look at the next number. The next number is not a 5 or above, so I would not round up, and my answer would be 123. On this next one, when I add these together, I get 0.0306. And so if I look at where my last significant figure was, this one is in the 10,000th spot, this one is in the 1,000th spot, so this has to be my last place that I can have a sig fig. And so this one is my last one. I look at this, I determine that I have to round it up, and so that's 0.031. Now, you may not like this last one bit, but this is the way it goes when you don't measure precisely on each one. This, when I add these together, I get 50,964. But my last significant digit is in the 10,000th spot right here on this top one. Over here it's in the ones, but since this was only measured to the nearest 10,000ths, the best I can say is this is 50,000. Back to one sig fig, this has got to be my last sig fig. Now, you might not like that, but it's all about precision. And so here is the key point. Do not round until after you perform the calculation. Notice I perform the whole calculation each time in each one of these, and then I rounded to the significant figures. Now, I think that multiplication and division is a whole lot easier, and the good news is that's what we use most of the time. So here's all you got to do. You punch the number in your, or do the calculation in your calculator, and then you round your answers when you're done to the least number of sig fig values used in the problem. So here's what we do. We plug this in, 1.96 times 4. And the answer that we get on our calculator is 7.84. So we go back to the problem, we see how many sig figs were in each of the numbers that we use. This number right here had 3 sig figs in it. This number had 1 sig fig. Whichever one had the least amount, that's how many sig figs should be on our answer. So since this is only 1 sig fig right here, we only can have 1 sig fig in our answer. We always start with the first non-zero number. There's our 1 sig fig. We look at that next number and we see, do we round up or not? We have to keep it in the right place, though, also in the ones place. And so we do round up, so the answer to this one is 8. This next one, 843 divided by 9 is 93.666666667. And so when we look at our numbers, we have 3 sig figs in this number and only 1 sig fig here. That means we can only have 1 sig fig in our answer. That's this guy right here. We look here, and that means we do not round up. Now the answer is not 9. The answer is 9, but 9 is in the tens spot, so we have to have a placeholder right there. The answer is 90. This next one right here, I just calculated it, the answer is for 31 times 4.62 times 0.01 is 1.4322. So we have to look at the sig figs. This has 3 values, and this one has 2 sig figs. This one has 3, and this is only 1. Just this guy right here. The zeros, the leading zeros are not significant. So this one, again, is only 1 sig fig. And so the answer to this is 1. And then this last one, we have 468 times 14 divided by 9.01. When we do all that, we get this answer. And again, your question may be, well then, what do I round that off to? Well, the answer is the correct number of sig figs. This number 468 has 3 sig figs, 14 has 2, and 9.01 has 3. So we want 2 significant figures in our answer. That's going to be these two, the first non-zero number and the next one. We look at this one to determine whether we round up or not. We do, and the answer to this is 730, or 7.3 times 10 to the second. And that's how we do multiplication and division each time. So here are 6 problems that I'd like you to try. Write these out and then write the answer. Write the whole long answer and then determine the number of sig figs and round it off to the correct number of sig figs. Have a great day.